Well, hey there, everyone. Today we are going to do a kind of behind the scenes look at photos that our co-driver Mike took on the Rustbelt Ramble 2022. First couple pictures were just, on our way to Detroit. And here's some shots that he took during our stop at the Henry Ford Museum. It was a pretty cool place to go. I actually hadn't been there since I was like 4 or 5 years old, and it's kind of cool to see the things. That's actually a Dymaxion house from the 40s. And then one of our friends has a Sunfire, so we took a picture of the emblem that was sitting there. There's a lot of cool architecture out there. And if you ever do geocaching, there is a geocache like scavenger hunt. Afterwards, we stopped over real quick at Triumph by Air to check out the Michigan Jurassic Park motor pool with some of the vehicles. This is actually lovingly known as the JEP, J-E-P. Keith, actually the person that takes care of the Jurassic Park motor pool, he actually did not actually do the paint on this one, but bought it this way from a friend, and he's just been using it on adventures that he's been going on. They go to Comic-Con and do a lot of other cool Jurassic Park related things throughout the state of Michigan and actually throughout the United States. We had to stop here to help Charlie with Speedy Baja after he broke his strut, and there's me pushing the strut down, putting it back in the car after we welded up the bracket. And there's Keith's Subaru Brat that actually he no longer owns since he picked up a new to him one, but it's actually older. And then here's a bunch of photos Mike took from his experience at the Packard plant from the night before the rally started with Detroit Bus Company. Shane O'Connor actually took us around and was our tour guide. And it was pretty cool. The plant has actually since been torn down partially and everything. It was just really interesting to see how much random stuff was there, or people dumped off. Unfortunately, with Detroit's urban decay going on. Some of the things that we actually found, while looking around were quite surprising, that you'd find in an abandoned building. Normal graffiti and, roofs falling down and things like that. But, coming up here, there was a couple surprising finds, such as this old, Buick or Chevy that was sitting in there. Mike said it was pretty much all intact, just really rough, and had been sitting there a while. I don't know how long it's been sitting, but it's been in the building for a while because all the dust and dirt on it. And then we did find Walter White's Motorhome. If you guys don't know the reference, it's a Breaking Bad TV show I still haven't completed past the first or second season. And then here's our hotel room parking lot the night before the rally. When we got back, I think around 11 p.m. and wanted to make sure the Cozy Coupe didn't get stolen, so we brought it inside with us to the hotel room. And then here's our first checkpoint of the day on Friday, the Hamtramck Disneyland. They actually have a bunch of Disney things out back of their house. And then we actually had to go back to the Packard plant in the morning to get a photo in front of the building. This is actually the Lost Peninsula of Michigan, which is actually on the Ohio side, and that's the only way to get to it. And there's Charlie and Team Punch Raff in their minivan. This is one of our checkpoints just into Ohio on day one, going across the bridge. I think we're in Toledo area at this point, and shortly after we took these pictures is when Charlie's car broke down. So we kind of forgot to take pictures along that portion of fixing his car. But yeah, we went over this really cool bridge and everything. And here's a river that was down by some of the checkpoints. There was a Lemons Rally Find It across the street here, trying to find a marker where the road flooded over back in the 1900s. And then here's an old train bridge from day one that was part of the scavenger hunt, of lemons. This was actually really cool. The stacked bugs at a pawn shop / trading post. If you ever get a chance, I would definitely go out there and check it out. And then we did see quite a bit of rain on day one. It wasn't very heavy, but it was just more or less getting things wet along the way. This was the deepest hole in Ohio, where they were doing some mining and things like that. The deep cut is actually what it's called. There was I can't remember the name of this museum, but we stopped there to get the picture of the spacecraft. And then there's the Annie Oakley gun. And then we got into some more rain, heading down to the Piqua mining building. It's no longer used, but it's just kind of a cool little piece of history that's still standing around there in Ohio. And then there's the Wright Brothers Cycle Company. That was our final stop of the day on day one. And then we went and got dinner at the Spaghetti Factory. And day two, we brought the car in as well. I tried to drive it down the stairs. It didn't work. I was just too big. Unfortunately, Charlie with Speedy Baja had to leave, so we adopted another pet unicorn on the trip, named it Speedy, and took it with us to the checkpoints the remainder of the time. I think this was Washington Courthouse in Washington Courthouse, Ohio. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments about that, but Mike's just sitting on the front steps. And then we got to go into the Hocking Hills area to find a lot of checkpoints and things, and it was a good drive. That's when we found out the car did not like wet, freshly paved roads very well. Here's the John Glenn Observatory. Just a couple of photos of that. If you're into space exploration or anything, I definitely would check it out. And then we just hit a bunch of back roads for a while in between checkpoints. And the weather finally started clearing up for us, which was quite nice as we were trying to get into Pittsburgh area. And actually, this is actually in West Virginia, the largest tree of West Virginia. I'm standing next to it, and actually Jackson from the Rice Krispies team is inside the tree at this point, and we got a cool video of that. And then here's our hotel at the end of day number 2 down in Pittsburgh. Actually, that's day 3 in the beginning of the day, since it was already dark when we got there. And right about this point is where we figured out the smart car hated heavy rains. We would hydroplane all over the road, and it was kind of dangerous, so we had to keep our speed down to about 55. Here's Pit Hole City, where there was a big mining operation, only lasted a couple years, and then it was abandoned. It was kind of a cool place to go. Kind of reminds me of Michigan's Upper Peninsula with the Fayette mining town, how it was a big boom town for a while and then went away. This is actually the town where Lucille Ball lived. I cannot remember it, but we were looking for a furniture factory. As you can see, we got right there in front of the factory sign. That was kind of fun to get to since there was so much construction in the town as well. And then here's the original gas well of New York. And it was pretty cool to go to. And on our way to the next checkpoint, we had to stop off at a restaurant that Mike used to go to when he lived in New York for the short time. Crystal Falls, I think, New York or something. But definitely a great place. I think it was called Tilly's. But yeah, we stopped there and grabbed some food before going to the Silo City there in Buffalo, New York. And that's actually where General Mills carried or held all the grains for the cereals and things like that they were making back in the day. And now they're just open and going to be demolished here in the next few years. You can see this just kind of pulling out of Silo City. And there's like an old train bridge that goes across the river, letting the tankers and freighters go through. And at that time, we had picked up, we got Jack behind us, along with his dad, Matt, and the Cavalier. And then Matt was the guy we met on the rally in the Jaguar, which actually had a Chevy small block in it. And there's just some more of Pit Hole City. Or not Pit Hole City, Silo City, my bad. And then here is towards the end of the rally, down in Buffalo. We were, searching around for a couple of the checkpoints out there, and that's where our rally finish was. And it was pretty cool to see, you know, how they got all these little, you know, waterways and, you know, canoe and kayak rentals and things like that. This is kind of one of the funnier photos that Mike took of the trip. Well, we bought this hat to give it to Rally Master Jeff, who's always wearing a cowboy hat. So we figured, hey, this is kind of patriotic. Let's give it to Jeff. And so Mike was trying it on. And here's what we had to do with the team selfie with Shark Girl. It's half girl, half shark. And Mike took a photo of himself, you know, in front of there. And then at the end of the rally, we got to meet up with one of our teams that we had first met last year, the Lemons Rally Rebels. It was Alex and her dad. And then it was her grandpa there who tagged along this year, and it was pretty cool meeting them, and hope to see them next year on the rally. And then the Monday following the rally, we drove back. We actually had to stop that night because the rain was coming down so heavily, and you know, I said the car hydroplaned a lot, so we had to pull off just to be safe. And it was a good thing we did. We got to see a lot of cool things. This is out in Cleveland area, actually, on our way back through, back home. Then we stopped across the I-90, I-80 tollway to get some fuel, and a lot of people had some questions for us. And why are we driving a pink and purple smart car? Why do we have a miniature Jeep on the back? And why is there cozy coupe strapped to said Jeep? And also, why is there a baby bottle on the car? And we found that actually when we were helping Charlie fix this car on day one. The Rice Krispies team duct taped it to our hood, and it's actually at home with me now, so we didn't lose it. And then there's a picture of our CB antenna that somehow got melted by the exhaust while we were driving, because we were trying to figure out why our CB antenna signal was horrible, and that's why it just melted through. And then here's driving across the I-80, I-90 on our way back, and there was a specific road that Mike wanted to get a picture of. And I guess when he lived back out in New York, Fang Boner Road was the halfway point for him and his girlfriend at the time to meet up, you know, when they would want to see each other for a quick bit. So it was pretty cool. We had some good weather on our way home. No real rain or anything except for in the morning. And then, you know, got the Jeep home with the cozy coupe sitting there that we found last year on the fence post. They're actually back put away now in the house. And we did win first place on points, so we got our award in the mail, and want to share a photo of that with you guys. We hope to take part in the Lemons Rally 2023 Rustbelt Ramble next year. So thank you very much for watching. Please like the video and subscribe. Thank you very much.